Do you know what is table viva? You have already passed MB, so definitely you know what is table viva. That means in a table, one examiner will be there, one or two, and in front some instruments or some specimens or some charts or graphs or ECG will be there, and on the other side of the table he will be there to face the examiner. So this is called table viva. And in this table viva, in medicine we usually arrange at least 4 table viva, right? One grand viva will be there. There you will be asked thoroughly about regarding, it may be related to your long case or short case or whatever they can ask. One table and one grand viva and other 4, that is a vast, and 4 table viva. What are the 4 table viva? In general, it usually happens like this: a practical exam. Although in coming scenario, there may be some changes in examination pattern, right? We all know that next may happen or some other kind of patterns are coming. So OSCE based patterns are coming as well. So we are trying to follow the British or USA guidelines like that. So anyway, till date, what we usually do, we keep one grand viva in practical exam. Prolonged case, short case will be there, and other than that, 4 viva will be there. And among these 4 viva, one viva will be of instruments. Instruments, there are so many instruments in surgical department. So being a medicine resident or medicine doctor or a physician, we also deal with few instruments, right? So these instruments will be dealt or will be asked about in this table viva. Number 1. Number 2, one table will be of ECGs. You will be asked regarding, it may be a normal ECG, it may be some grossly visible pathological ECG like my acute infarct, anterior wall, posterior wall, inferior wall. You will be asked to identify the pattern, the ECG changes, any obvious changes, and the cause of it, the associated clinical condition, few important bits of management and all. So this is all about ECG. So instrument ECG, and then we usually keep a table of radiological investigations like an X-ray or CT scan plate with simple diagnosis, not so much complicated thing. You are just a student, you have not even underwent the internship, so definitely the kind of expectations the examiner will be very basic or minimum. You will just have to identify that yes, this is a CT scan film of head showing this hemorrhage or this acute infarct or this mass or this few little basic things you will be asked about. And there may be some questions regarding the management of such conditions, like if the patient comes with hemorrhagic stroke, what will you do? What are the basic things you will first do, like airway, breathing, circulation and all? After that, what are the definite managements and all? So this, like this, you will be asked about that conditions on that ECG, CT scan films. And then in the same table or in a different table, you may be asked about X-ray films. Mainly we ask about chest X-ray films because we as a physician, we only bother about chest X-ray. We don't know how to read other X-rays. Like we know how to read skull X-ray little bit because it is relevant to a few clinical conditions, few medical conditions. But other than that, we don't know how to read fracture of these things and this. We usually don't need to know. It will be asked in your orthopedic viva, but not in medicine viva, right? In medicine viva, mostly all of your X-ray questions will be limited to X-ray chest and few X-ray abdomen, erect plus supine. That's it. So this will be also discussed by Dr. Sanjeev sir, I think. Has it been started yet? The discussion regarding X-ray, CT scan and all. कुछ discussions why X-ray, so just X-ray discussion why regarding cardiovascular system and regarding respiratory system. I think they have divided this X-ray thing like that. And the last thing will be of drugs. Few important drugs, few clinically relevant drugs, few emergency medicine drugs with their indications and contraindications, when you use, how to use, what will be the dose, what will be the formulation, what will be the route, and lastly, few side effects on all. These things will be asked. So these are the 4 table viva you may have to face in your final exam. So basically, I have asked from the department to discuss regarding the instruments. It is the relatively easier part, but the thing is, few things you have to be very clear of. regarding few instruments. You are not required to know a lot of things about every instruments, just the basic things, but about basic instruments. Like what are the usual instruments the examiner tends to ask? I think all of you know Riles tube. What is Riles tube? Uh, yeah. Do you know where it usually we put? What is the purpose of nasogastric tube? Exactly. So the most fun or the basic thing or the examiner usually ask about the instrument. They usually pick Riles tube, and you have to explain the thing. What is this? What is the use? What are the indications? What are the contraindications? How to put it? How to remove it? What are the complications like that? So number one, we will learn about Riles tube. Number two, we will learn about lumbar puncture needles. There are usually two types of needles in previous days, like we used to use steel needles, but nowadays we don't use steel needles. We use plastic coated needles and all. So we will discuss regarding that, and then we will also discuss regarding IV cannulas. IV cannulas you will also read in pediatric section, but in medicine also few important things about IV cannulas, their diameters, their specific indications. So these things you may have to know. And then we will learn about central line and ICD. What is ICD? Intercostal drainage tube. ICD tube. You may have to learn about ICD tube. And other thing are uh, endotracheal intubation tube, ventilation tube. We usually use endotracheal intubation tube. So these are the few important instruments, and other than that, these are therapeutic instruments, and we also use few diagnostic instruments. What are the diagnostic instruments? First of all, this is stethoscope. So we use stethoscope. Who discovered this thing? Laennec. The name of the scientist is Laennec, who discovered stethoscope. Wooden stethoscope, it was first discovered, then it has been transformed into this. So stethoscope may be asked about. And other thing is tuning fork. It is used in medicine as well as it is used in neurology. So tuning fork may be an important instrument in your exam. Other thing is hammer. Basically, it is the part of typically it is a part of neurological examinations. So we tend to ask regarding hammer in if your long case is of neurology system, right? So otherwise, hammer we usually don't ask, right? And these are few things. The most another important thing we have missed is sphygmomanometer, right? We have already read it in physiology, and we will also read in medicine as well, because this is also the most important vital per se to measure the pulse and blood pressure. So these few instruments we will learn one by one each alternate week with me, right? So today I am going to start discussion regarding Riles tube. Okay, so I am waiting for the instrument to come from medicine ward. I don't know how much time it will take, but it is better to start the discussion, right? Basically, in instrument lectures, you need the practical thing, right? It is not something I write and something you just mug up or something you just write and all. So basically, you have to take the instrument in your hand. You have to start practicing how to describe it. What were the points? What are the things you you never not miss, and all these things. So, what is the Riles tube? Riles tube is the other name of nasogastric tube. So definitely, if we call it as nasogastric tube, so there is something known as orogastric tube, right? So we usually use nasogastric tube. Is it discovered by Riles? Who discovered nasogastric tube or Riles tube? Anybody knows it? Riles tube is not discovered by Riles, right? Riles tube is named after John Alfred Riles. John Alfred Riles is an eminent physician of University of Cambridge. His son is a Nobel laureate in 70% cases. So definitely you have to learn it well, right? So this is Riles tube or nasogastric tube, right? So why we usually call it as Riles tube? Because it is named after an eminent physician named as Alfred Riles. was basically he has an important role in gastroenterology, but he didn't discover it because in our medieval era as well, if something bad with your abdomen, they also used to put some tube inside the abdomen. That is, so you may call it as a gastric tube or orogastric tube. So you cannot say that this scientist or this doctor has had invented this trials tube or nasogastric tube. It has been modified over ages, over 1800 or 1900 years. These things got into attention of doctors, and we use more and more frequently from that era. But the important indications and all has been more widely described by Alfred, and he is also an eminent gastroenterologist. So, in the respect of his name, the physician used to call it as Rayleigh tube. So, now few important things about anatomy. You have also just recently read about anatomy, right? No, not recently. 1 year back you have completed anatomy, right? So, what is the position of esophagus? Starting of esophagus from incisor teeth. Anybody knows? ENT. Have anybody started ENT? Ear, nose, throat, otolaryngology? No. From incisor to the start of esophagus is 15 centimeter, right? So this is just a piece of information they may ask it. So how to describe this instrument? Bolo. Why not? You will start. So most important thing, she mentioned it correctly, that the material it has been used with, that is important, because Rayleigh's tube or nasogastric tube can be made of polyurethane, it can be made of silicone, it can be made of latex rubber. The silicon rubber or silicon is also some kind of rubbery thing, so the tubes are also more malleable, but the more malleable the tube, it will be more difficult to introduce, because the nasal cavity is a hard structure with so many cavities, right? Superior nasal cavity, middle turbinate, inferior turbinate. So there are 3 nasal turbinates, and along with that there are 3 important cavities other than supermost cavities. So these cavities consist of bones. Though these are soft bones, but still there should be some minimum strength of the tube to pass through, right? So the more malleable the tube will be, the more difficult to introduce it. So the latex tube, it is the simple rubber tube. So the simple rubber, if it is made up of latex, then first of all there will be latex allergy. It is relatively more common. So latex allergy will be there. So we don't use latex tube now, and plus it will be very malleable. So it is very difficult to introduce to nose and then reach up to stomach, right? So mostly we use silicon tube and polyurethane tube. In clinical scenario, this tube is usually made up of polyurethane tube. But if we want to keep the tube for longer duration, like say 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, in that scenario we may have to put a silicon tube. It is true for another catheter. We have already forgotten that catheter. Urinary catheter, right? Foley's catheter. We will also read it thoroughly. That is another important instrument to learn. So Foley's catheter can also be made of silicon as well as latex. So the material you have to mention, number 1. Number 2, you have to mention length. Length is variable. So some length may be of 90 centimeters, some length may be of 40 centimeter or 50 centimeter. Because according to the size of the human being, the size of the esophagus varies, size of the duodenum varies, size of the stomach varies. So length may be variable. So you may definitely you can comment upon the length, that there are length mark of this up to this. But before that, you have to mention about regarding the diameter. So diameter is an important. So how to mention diameter, in which unit? Can you tell me? The unit of diameter in measuring? Not millimeter. No. सेंटीमीटर कैसे है? सेंटीमीटर तो इतना मोटा होगा. Not micrometer. This is something, some orthodox unit is there. The gauge thing in cannulation, 24 gauge, 18 gauge, something like that. So similar to gauge, in catheter we usually measure as French, FR. FR, capital F, small r. Let's write it. So this is the unit of diameter, right? So whenever you say any size of any catheter, you will mention as French. Now, how much is one French? How much is one French? French. Just like French Revolution, it is French, right? So one French is equal to 1/3 millimeter, right? One French is equal to 1/3 millimeter. So French is a unit of diameter. If this is your Rayleigh tube in macroscopic eye, so your French will be this. But your examiner is fond of asking a question that if you tell a size of French, then what you may actually assume regarding the outer circumference. So French is basically denotes the outer circumference in millimeter. Outer circumference in millimeter is the French in diameter. How it is? We know the circumference is equal to 2 pi r, right? So we can write it as 2 r cross product of pi. Now 2 r is equal to key diameter, pi is equal to key 3.14 is there, so many things are there, we are ignoring this thing. So 3 into d is equal to circumference. Now diameter is measured in French, right? And one French is equal to 1/3 millimeter. So whatever we measured the diameter in French will be equal to circumference in millimeter. So if we say our 12 French Rayleigh tube, I am giving more time here because it will also be useful in studying Colles catheter, right? So that is why the concept of French should be clear. So 12 French Rayleigh tube is equal to, more or less equal to, the diameter of the Rayleigh tube is 12 French, 12 in French unit, but the outer circumference of the Rayleigh tube will be of 12 millimeter. Is it clear? 18 French. Achha, what is your name? Or only gentleman? Yeah. See that. Tell me 18 French Rayleigh tube. What does it denote? 18 French Rayleigh tube. What is the diameter of Rayleigh tube? Of this Rayleigh tube? The diameter of this Rayleigh tube is 18 French. 18 French, right? Outer circumference of this Rayleigh tube is 3 times that diameter of the diameter in millimeter. So 18 millimeter. 18 French diameter means 18 millimeter outer circumference. Basically, outer circumference is equal to 3 times of diameter. 2 pi r. 2 r means k. 2 r means 2 radius. This is the circle. So this is 1 r. This is another r. And total we call it as d. Right? So 2r into pi, this is the circumference, right? And pi is equal to, we have already measured it as 3. So 3 into d, right? So actually, why this thing is getting complicated when some old examiner want to ask कि बेटा बताओ अगर इसका ये 20 फ्रेंच का कैथेटर है तो इसका आउटर डायमीटर कितना है, तो अब गलती से मत ये बता देना कि आउटर डायमीटर 20 फ्रेंच है, आउटर डायमीटर इज 20 मिलीमीटर, राइट। सेम जो 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 स्केलर जो ये होगा वो सेम रहेगा, लेकिन यूनिट बदल जाएगा। डायमीटर इज 18 फ्रेंच बट सर्कमफेरेंस इज 18 millimeter. Diameter is 14 French. Sorry, diameter is 14 French but circumference is 14 millimeter. Diameter is 16 French but the circumference is 16 millimeter. कैसे आता है वो मैंने यहाँ पे समझा दिया, राइट। सब लोगों को हिंदी आता है ना? हिंदी तो सबको आता है, राष्ट्रभाषा है हमारी, मतलब मैं भी, राष्ट्रभाषा तो नहीं है लेकिन डेफिनेटली। चलो तो कहाँ गया राइल्स ट्यूब, कहाँ गया, किसके पास है? हाँ चलो। So first thing you will mention that this is inside a packet, right? Why it is inside a packet? Because it is sterilized. Sterilized by यहाँ पे mentioned होता है, sterilization का procedure यहाँ पे mention नहीं है लेकिन usually mention होता है। जो और भी ज़्यादा important चीज़ें है like your IV cannula. IV cannula तो एक invasive thing, it is some invasive thing, right? So whenever it is more important to sterilize, they mention the process of sterilization. Usually this kind of thing it gets sterilized by microbiology. You have already read, right? In first few chapters there will be the procedure of sterilization, what are the things to be sterilized in which procedure, what are the autoclaving measures, what are the incineration, what are the gamma radiation. So these things usually sterilized by gamma radiation, right? So you can say this is a well packed sterilized nasogastric tube. Usually in USA they used to call it a nasogastric tube only. They will not say it is Ryle's tube because there are some linguistic problem between these two, European country and USA. In European country and the slaves of European countries, like in colonial era, we used to call it as Ryle's tube. That is, India is also colony of British, so we also call it as Ryle's tube. Now we are little more clever. We do not want to offend our USA friend as well, so we call it as Ryle's nasogastric tube. We mention both the term. Ryle's का और कोई ट्यूब है नहीं, only nasogastric tube है, लेकिन we don't want to offend the USA people, so we used to call it as Ryle's nasogastric tube. So you will also tell like this. So this is a how many French? This French is also mentioned inside this thing. Right, see, there is mentioned, it is mentioned here. In examination, you may also, you may be given like open thing, right? It may not be still packed like this. So here you can see this is FG 16. Can you read it? FG means French gauge 16. 16. So what is the outer diameter of this thing? 16 millimeter. What is the diameter of this thing? Sorry, what is the circumference? 16 millimeter. What is the outer diameter? 16 French. So ये 10 बाग का किला है, ठीक है? खेले. See, you can see this ना French. And in few company or most of the companies, they have also color coded these things. This orange thing is 16 French. No. Orange. The color is orange. See the color of the cap, the color of the bead, all is orange here. So orange is 16, green is 14, some other white is 12. There will be color coding like this, right? I may not be right in color matching, right? You will see it in your here. But this at least you are confirmed. The 16 French is orange. Okay. Now, so this is whenever the examiner will ask what is this, you will pick this thing. So this is if it is sterilized steel pack, so then you will mention sterilized steel pack content of Ryle's nasogastric tube of 16 French of this length को mention है, एकदम last वाला जो mention है वो mention करना है. You have to mention the last reading. देखो last तक mention है, 60 70 कितने mention है? Ideally जो the distance between the incisor teeth and why we are calling incisor teeth? Because we are putting it through nose ना, तो हम नाक से क्यों नहीं नापते हैं? Because for standardization you need something that doesn't move. आपका नॉस्ट्रिल तो मूव करता है, तो जो मूव नहीं करते वो क्या है, जो स्कल बस से अटैच्ड वो क्या है, आपका इंसिजर टीथ है. सो दिस इज योर स्टैंडर्ड. सो कोई भी चीज, चाहे इन दिस राइल्स ट्यूब, बी इट esophageoscope, be it upper GI endoscope, in every scenario they measure it from the incisor teeth. So incisor teeth is an important landmark, right? So ये आपको याद रखना है कि from incisor teeth how much is the distance of esophagus, origin of esophagus, it is 15 centimeter, and at the end of esophagus it is 40 centimeter, right? So this is in general. So what is the total length of esophagus? मतलब 40 एंड में, शुरू 15 में, तो कितना हुआ 25. तो टोटल लेंथ ऑफ esophagus इज मोर और लेस, एन एडल्ट esophagus इज 25 सेंटीमीटर, राइट? अच्छा, ये सर मैं क्यों बता रहा हूँ, क्योंकि सारे साइज का तो आपको नहीं मिलेगा. ऐसे भी हो सकते हैं कि एक एडल्ट वेल ग्रोन पेशेंट है जिसका आपको सोच लो कि 30 सेंटीमीटर के नासोगैस्ट्रिक ट्यूब मिल रहा है, तो you cannot put it, right? It will be hanging in between her chest, in between her esophagus or his esophagus, so he cannot use. So these things should be remembered. Okay, that from the incisor the starting of esophagus is 15 and the end of esophagus is 40 or 41, 42, something like that. This is not so hard and fast. So this is how you will describe. Okay, now come to, oh no, this is not, this thing is not 171. See, one is like this, na? One is like this. This mark indicates, till this mark it is 70 centimeter. So it is up to 70 centimeter or something more. Yeah, it is up to 70 centimeter. So total length is 70 centimeter. 70 से ज़्यादा होगा क्योंकि 70 till incisor. You can introduce till 70 centimeter. उससे ज़्यादा you must not put it, right? Now, what is the procedure of Ryle's tube insertion? इसके बाद ये आता है, what is the procedure of Ryle's tube insertion? कोई भी whatever may be the instrument, before saying the procedure, you have to mention the position of the patient, right? Whether the patient will be in sitting position or in lying down position or in recumbent position or lateral position, you have to mention it, first thing. And next thing, whatever instrumentation you will do in head and neck region, you will have to mention the position of neck and head. If you want to intubate, you have to mention the position, the extension or flexion of neck or atlantaxial joint. Like you have to specify this thing. So like this way, the Ryle's tube, to introduce Ryle's tube, you have to specify the ideal position of neck and head with respect to each other, right? So what is the ideal position of the patient? The position should be in seated position. This is the back-to-back 3 years MCQ question of AIIMS entrance, right? AIIMS INI said. Now it is INI said, right? So AIIMS entrance का back-to-back 3 years का ये question था कि what is the ideal position of the patient and what is the ideal position of the head and neck of Ryle's tube insertion. So if the patient is conscious, then we have to put Ryle's tube in sitting position. Sitting position is the ideal position. If it is not possible, then recumbent position at 45 degrees. If it is not possible, the patient is totally in coma, he is not cooperative, then you may have to put it in lying down position. But lying down is the least desirable position. So the position of the patient will be sitting or recumbent at 45 degrees. That's it. If the examiner wants single option, you will mark as sitting position. And then what will be the position of head and neck? The position of head and neck will be extended or flexed. It will be flexed in both joints. Neck will be flexed, atlantoaxial joint will be flexed. It will be like this. Why? In intubation, endotracheal intubation, it will be just the opposite. Neck will be extended, atlantoaxial joint will be flexed. Because in that case, you are putting the tube inside the windpipe, right? Inside the trachea. So you have to keep the trachea in same line. That is why you have to manipulate the head and neck axis in such a way that the trachea you can visualize in the same axis. But in Ryle's tube, we are putting it in back, behind. The esophagus is in the back, not in the front. So both head and neck will be flexed, and in this flexed posture, the head and neck, the path of this tube will make a circumferential trajectory. Like, correct? क्या हो गया ये? चलो डिसाइड करते हैं. अच्छा, हमारे कितने टर्मिनेट्स है? How many terminates we have? 3 terminates. So what are the important structures the Ryle's tube pass through? First of all, the nares. So this is the nares. Then we have superior terminate, we have middle terminate, we have inferior terminate, and below the we have inferior terminate, and below the terminate there are few cavities, fungal cavities, whatever. So we put the Ryle's tube through this cabinet or this cabinet or this cabinet. It must be as low as possible, the inferior turbinate. Below the inferior turbinate you will introduce. So important structure, this is nares, this is inferior turbinate. So your this tube will be passed through like this and then this. So if you flex both head and the neck, so the trajectory will be like this one. Otherwise it will be like this or like this. So this thing, this area or this area will kink the tube and it will make coiled inside your mouth, inside the patient's mouth. So the ideal position is neck flexed and head flexed at atlantaxial joint. This is also important. They give the combination of flexion and extension and make the option A, option B, option C, option D like this. So the ideal position will be this. And now come to the procedure. The procedure is we don't have dummy, na? Dummy nahi hai. আছে dummy আছে ঠিক আছে আজকে আর ঝামেলা করছি না ঠিক আছে we will do it in dummy. We are basically wasting this for the sake of learning. It is also written here French gauge 16, right? Okay. So first thing is, before putting Ryle's tube you should know the indications and contraindications, because even if it is contraindicated and you put the Ryle's tube inside the nose or abdomen, you may endanger the patient's life, right? So before the procedure we must know what are the indications and contraindications. So what we usually put a tube for? Either something to introduce or something to retrieve, right? So what to introduce and when to introduce and when to retrieve? Tell me, आप एक बताओ, कोई भी इंडिकेशन बताओ, आपके लिए सबसे आसान रहेगा, बहुत सारे ऑप्शन है, कोई भी एक बता दो. What are the indications of Ryle's tube insertion? बोलो. हाँ तो आप वो Ryle's tube से नीचे करते हो ऐसे Ryle's tube. Yes. This is an important indication. If the patient is unable to swallow food, then we may have to introduce Ryle's tube for enteral feeding. क्योंकि हम IV से भी दे सकते हैं parenteral feeding. लेकिन अगर किसी पेशेंट कुछ देने के लिए there is chance to improve, then in that case you need to give total parenteral nutrition. You will just give enteral nutrition. And what is enteral? What is parenteral? Enteral means whatever goes through gut. Enteric system, whatever goes through enteric system is enteral, and whatever goes through direct blood vessels is parenteral. Meaning we are bypassing enteric system and directly introducing into the blood, right? So if we give feeding gastrojejunostomy, then it is enteral or parenteral? It is enteric because we are giving it to entrum. Although we are cutting through abdomen and reaching the jejunum and then put a tube to give food, but it is actually an enteral feeding. So enteral feeding is always better in possible situations. So this is to give enteral feeding in non-cooperative or comatose patient. Number one, this is probably the most common indication. Acha. Next, any other thing? So for any patient who cannot take food enterally, we can introduce the Ryle's tube and put the food inside. अगर कोई मतलब if there is some restraint time something like that, जो आंदोलन भी हो रहा है, अगर कोई ऐसा अनशन में बैठ जाता है, ठीक है, कि मैं मुंह से कुछ नहीं खाना खाऊंगा, if his or her life is at stake, then the Polish authority may forcefully introduce food through Ryle's tube. It is also written in your book, right? So just to put the food inside your stomach, to use your enteric system or enteral feeding, this is the most important indication. What are the another kind of indication? Yes, something you are introducing and then something you are retrieving. If some patients get themselves intoxicated with some specific intoxicants, then you may have to retrieve it from the stomach. So for lavage, it is called lavage. If you put water and all normal saline and then clean the stomach mucosa and then retrieve it, it is called gastric lavage. So for gastric lavage, nasogastric tube is important. This is the most important two indications of nasogastric tube insertion. Now, there are few other conditions where you may have to retrieve the gastric content even in normal circumstances. What are these conditions? Like paralytic ileus. If there is no motility throughout the gut, then whatever content will be there, it stays and it may cause infection, it may cause stasis, it may further aggravate the condition, it may cause vomiting, recurrent vomiting, and this vomiting ultimately may lead to aspiration, and this aspiration may kill the patient, right? So in such scenario, like in acute pancreatitis, where you may need to retrieve the food particle, whatever food particle may be there inside your stomach, you have to retrieve it. Or in paralytic ileus, so or say in stomach where there is gastric outlet obstruction, in such scenario you may have to retrieve the whole content of your stomach outside your body. So in that scenario you may have to put the Ryle's tube. Okay, any other indications? There is some specific surgery like pneumonectomy. Pneumonectomy means you are cutting few of the bulla or few of the excess expanded lung tissue which is not functional now. So you just cut it off, and after cutting it, there will be mediastinal exposure. And in that case, if you aspirate or the patient vomits in postoperative period, then this will be like life-threatening for the patient. So in that specific scenario, we may have to put Ryle's tube. For babies, if the baby, because the swallowing mechanism is not proper in babies, like if the baby's age is less than 6 months, then you may have to put nasogastric tube just to introduce milk inside the tummy, right? So these are few indications. Now, what are the contraindications? What are the contraindications? Esophageal varices, very good. Esophageal varices, basically varices, if there is no, this varices never bled, then there is less risk. But if there is history of bleeding esophageal varices, or there is some blood dyscrasias like hemophilia and all, so there will be easy bleeding. So before introducing, you have to question few things regarding this clinical condition, like do you have any blood bleeding disorders or something like that? Are you taking some medications that like blood thinner, like in patient with mitral stenosis, rheumatic mitral stenosis? So we usually give blood thinner, right, to prevent clot formation in left atrium. So in that case, you have to ask, are you taking warfarin and what? So these few things. Another thing is, these are the systemic contraindications. Like if the patient is having bleeding diathesis, you cannot give it. It is relative contraindications. What are the absolute contraindications? Like I have already told that you have to fix the patient in a specific position, like complete flexion and complete flexion of head and neck. So if the patient is having fracture, right, basilar skull fracture, or severe nasopharyngeal trauma, maxillary trauma, in that case, it is not possible to introduce this tube because you are using the nasal cavity, not oral cavity, right? You are using the nasal cavity. So In severe nasopharyngeal trauma, we cannot use this thing. Okay. Now, in intoxicants, like if the patient have ingested some kerosene or some oily thing, mineral oils, in that case also we usually do not put Ryle's tube. Why? Yes, in corrosive poisoning as well. Corrosive as well as mineral ingestion. In why it is contraindicated in mineral oil ingestion? Yes, very good. The chance of aspiration in minerals is very high. Why? Aspirations को तो सबका होना चाहिए, सारे फ्लूइड ही है. But the surface tension of mineral oils is more or less. Surface tension is less, so capillary suction will be more. If you put a cloth in water and simultaneously you put a cloth in kerosene, which will be soaked faster? Which will be soaked faster? The cloth in kerosene or the cloth in water? No. Which will be soaked? If you take a cloth and then there is one bowl of kerosene and one bowl of water, you are hanging a cloth from distance. So there is water. The water will reach upwards, and the kerosene will also reach upwards. The kerosene will reach faster because this has less surface tension, right? So it has more capillary action, so it will reach faster. So likewise, usually esophagus is flattened. It is closed like this. It is not open like this. It is closed like this. So there will be no such capillary, action there. If you are putting Ryle's tube, like this is esophagus in normal scenario. Now you are putting Ryle's tube, so there is no capillary leakage here. Now if you are putting Ryle's tube here, so this region or this region will not oppose. So there will be some capillary action through this area. You understand? So if there is any kerosenes or oils is there, so through this narrow channels around the outer circumference of this thing, Ryle's tube, they can reach up to glottis and they can reach into the lung. So they more prone to cause aspiration pneumonia. So that is why in kerosene poisoning or in any mineral oil poisoning, we do not use nasogastric tube, right? For lavage or aspiration, whatever. Now, next thing is corrosives. Why we do not use corrosive? We do not use nasogastric tube for lavage in corrosive injury? Because there is high risk of perforation. In which corrosive there is more risk of perforation, alkali injury or acid injury? Why? Yeah, in alkaline injury there will be more destruction because of liquefactive necrosis. In Robbins, you have already read the types of necrosis, right? There is colloid necrosis and there is liquefactive necrosis. In acid injury, there will be colloid necrosis, and if in colloid necrosis there will be toughening of the tissue, so it is more difficult to perforate. But in alkaline injury, there will be liquefactive necrosis. It makes the tissue liquid, so there will be more chance of perforation. So be it acid or be it alkaline, we do not put Ryle's tube, right? So these are the few important contraindications. There are 1000 contraindications, 1000 not, but this 5 or 6 things you have to ask for, right? So in examination also you will have to mention these things. Okay. So now come to the procedure. Patient बैठा है, head and neck flexed है, उसके बाद you will introduce this Ryle's tube. So you will introduce through the inferior turbinate. So inferior turbinate ऐसे करने में reach होगा या ऐसे horizontally करने में reach होगा? It should be horizontal. So horizontal करने में the direction of our nares is little upwards. The direction of our nares, the nostril orifice is little upwards. ऐसे है ना? ये किसी का तो ऐसे नहीं होता है, बेबन की तरह ऐसे नहीं होता है. जो अदर प्राइमेट्स है हमारा, उनकी तरफ ऐसे तो जस्ट खुला नहीं रहता है, इंसान का थोड़ा गिरा रहता है. तो that is why you have to little pull the apex of your nose upwards to directly visualize the inferior turbinate orifice. You will just pull it and then introduce Ryle's tube just horizontally. If you just introduce horizontally, it will align itself by inferior terminate only, right? ये आपके लिए आसान रहेगा. So before start introducing, this is a foreign body, and if you touch it behind the posterior pharyngeal wall, it will inside gag reflex. So इसका क्या तरीका है पेशेंट को समझाना. If the patient is conscious, then you have to counsel the patient with your 2 minutes or 3 minutes that I am introducing it inside your nostril to reach your abdomen, to remove or to introduce food or to remove toxins. आपको ये थोड़ा सा हमें हेल्प करना है. जब मैं बताऊंगा कि आपको गिलना निकालना है तो आपको निकालिएगा. और क्या पूछ सकते हो कि इसमें थोड़ा उल्टी आ सकता है तो आपको हमें कोऑपरेट करना है. ये ज़्यादा देर तक नहीं रहेगा, थोड़ी देर में आप शांत हो जाओगे. Even after that, if the patient is anxious and uncooperative, you may give some sedatives. Which sedatives we can give? We usually use the most commonly used sedatives here is midazolam. We give midazolam very low dose, like 2 milligram. You can give IV just to sedate a patient little bit to make him cooperative, make her cooperative and cooperative, right? So counseling is very important in Ryle Stevens insertion. So after that, you will take, definitely you have to take the precautions, aseptic precautions. You will put your gloves, right? And then you will lubricate these things with lignocaine gel, polyethylene glycol gel along with lignocaine. So it is an anesthetic gel, so it will produce less pain and less irritation and less gag reflex, right? So you will just introduce it. Whenever it touches the posterior pharyngeal wall, there will be gag reflex, and in that case, you may ask the patient to sip few gulps of water, few sips of water only, not much. You will just give a glass of water and take and ask the patient to swallow it. And whenever they do the swallowing reflex, automatically this thing will be directed towards esophagus, not front, not towards trachea. So if the patient can swallow, this is the best thing. This is the best thing, because in that case, patient he himself can guide the Ryle tube into his esophagus. Otherwise, there is high chance that it may go into trachea, because whenever something that is curling like this, there will be front. There will be forward bending, so it may go into the front pipe, that is windpipe, and it may have several complications. Right? It is very crucial. So if the patient is conscious, you can just make a little bit sedated, and after that, whenever there is gag reflex after putting it, then you will ask the patient to swallow. Just you can ask the patient to swallow water or air. If the patient can swallow air, that is fine also. But you may have to ask the patient to swallow. And after swallowing, this thing automatically reach towards the patient's stomach. And how much you will introduce? What will be the ideal length? This is important, because a 6 feet tall guy and a 5 feet tall woman will not have the same length of this thing, right? Esophagus or all this total dynamic will be different. Total length will be different. Now, how to measure the optimum length? Anybody knows it? No, not Giffey-Sternum. और किसी को याद है? आप बताओ कुछ. What is your name? सुमैया. आप बताओ. आपको कुछ याद है? पेडियाट्रिक्स में भी पढ़ा गया है ना? है नहीं? अच्छा हाँ, ठीक है. नहीं, आप सही बोल रही थे. near, straight tragus, and then straight downwards, not till Giffey-Sternum. You have to go beyond Giffey-Sternum, midpoint between the Giffey-Sternum and umbilicus, nearly 2 to 3 inch beyond Giffey-Sternum. This will be the ideal length, and this is the measuring thing, because you are putting it through oral route, right? So you need not to sterilize, maintain sterilization hard and fast. You're already have put it drippings and all, so there will be some minimum sterilization already there. So you will just put the thing like this, and then this until the midpoint of Giffey-Sternum, and you will measure that. If I can pass just beyond 60 centimeter and 2 or 3 centimeter beyond that, I can reach the body of the stomach. Body or pylorus, better to say pylorus. So So this is how to measure the optimum length. So you have already measured the optimum length and lubricated and you already inserted, and now the tube has already passed beyond 60 centimeters or whatever measurement you have taken. Now what to do? You will fix the tube and then leave the patient and then leave the ward? No. You have to ensure one thing is very important, very crucial, that it may be misguided into trachea, into mouth cavity. Most common is not trachea. Mouth cavity में ऐसे coiled हो जाता है. जब बेंड होगा, ऐसे बेंड होगा, थोड़ा सा बेंड हुआ तो ट्रैकिया में घुसेगा, और ज्यादा बेंड हुआ तो घूम कर फिर इधर ऐसे आएगा. अब जितना भी घुसा होगा ऐसे 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 आएगा, पूरा सारा कॉइलिंग होकर मुंह पे ही अटक रहेगा, पेशेंट बता भी नहीं पाएगा, क्योंकि मोस्ट ऑफ द पेशेंट्स आर कोमाटोज. So they fill their mouth with Ryle's tube only, and it will not reach till the abdomen. And if you keep it like this and put 1.5 liter of fluid inside this, and this will cause aspiration. Esophagus तो ओपन है नहीं, ओपन कौन है? ट्रैकिया है. गैग रिफ्लेक्स किसका वीक हो गया? जिसका ऑलरेडी स्ट्रोक हो गया. तो कहाँ पे जाएगा सारे फ्लूइड? लंग्स में जाएगा, एस्पिरेशन हो जाएगा. So taking the position after putting the tube is the most crucial thing. इसके लिए गाइडलाइन भी है कि कैसे चेक करना है. So this is the most important thing, and this is the most important questions also asked in your exam. कि how you can check the ideal position that it has reached in your stomach. So बताओ, कुछ आइडिया बताओ. आप बताओ. अच्छा आप बताओ, सो रही हो, बताओ. नहीं सो रहे हो? अच्छा ठीक है, बताओ. How you can check? अरे उनको बताना दो ना, बताओ. जस्ट आइडिया, सिंपल आइडिया, कॉमन सेंस. फ्लूइड है लंग में. नॉर्मल कंडीशन में लंग में फ्लूइड होता है, स्टोमक में फ्लूइड होता है, होता है. अगर आप घुसाते हुए देखो कि यहाँ पे फूड मटेरियल आ गया यहाँ तक, तब हो गया कि हाँ यही है स्टोमक. लेकिन कभी कभी यूजली एस्पिरेशन होता है पेशेंट का, सारी स्टोमक का कंटेंट घुस जाता है राइट लंग में, तब भी आपका फूड मटेरियल आ सकता है. सो दैट इज नॉट कंफर्मेटरी. एक मतलब इनिशियल चेकअप्स हो सकता है, लेकिन दैट इज नॉट कंफर्मेटरी. तो कैसे कंफर्म करोगे? और बताओ. हाँ क्या बोलो. हाँ कैसे? बॉर्बोरिक. हाँ, यू कैन पुट वाटर और एयर. देखो यहाँ पे जो ओपनिंग है इसका दो अलग अलग वर्ब्स है, दो अलग अलग ओपनिंग है. पहले ये तो बड़ा ओपनिंग है, राइट. उसके बाद ये छोटा ओपनिंग है जो आपको ऐसे कर सकते हो. तो ये छोटा ओपनिंग किस चीज के लिए है? बड़ा ओपनिंग के तो लार्वाज के लिए है. तो कोई भी अगर इधर से आए तो जितना जल्दी हो सके निकाल दो उसको. छोटा ओपनिंग दो चीज के लिए, कुछ इंट्रोड्यूस करने के लिए और वो चेक करने के लिए. इसका जो साइज है वो इतना है जो कोई भी सिरिंज में फिट हो सकता है. तो आपको एक 10 cc, you have to take a 10 cc or 20 cc syringe and you will take around 15 ml or 10 ml air. You can take simple air or you can take normal saline, and you will push the air with force. It is better to take air only, because if you take normal saline and by accident it reaches the lung, then you are introducing fluid into the lung. So definitely it will be first checked with air only. ठीक है. तो फर्स्ट थिंग ये इंट्रोड्यूस हो गया. उसके बाद आपने यहाँ पे सिरिंज लगाया. पहले आप ड्रॉ करो. अब अगर ड्रॉ करते हुए कुछ फ्लूइड मटेरियल आ जाए, कुछ फूड मटेरियल आ जाए, तो यूर से 60% to 70% श्योर कि दिस इज इनसाइड एब्डोमेन, इनसाइड स्टोमक. नहीं, फिर इसके बाद आपको कंफर्म करना है. तो फिर उसी सिरिंज आप यहाँ से फिर टच करो, थोड़ा सा एयर लो, फिर घुसाओ विद फोर्स, क्योंकि धीरे धीरे अगर घुसाओगे तो लंग में और वहाँ का फ्लूइड में कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. तो विद फोर्स घुसाओ. अगर इसमें कुछ बबलिंग साउंड आ रहा है तो दिस मीन्स दिस एयर हैज बीन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड थ्रू सम फ्लूइड, सो दिस इज इनसाइड द स्टोमक. ठीक है. लेकिन अगर ह्यूजली एस्पिरेटेड है कोई पेशेंट्स तो, और या कुछ किसी का पल्मोनरी एडिमा हो गया सीवियर, तब भी ये चीज आ सकता है, यही सेम साउंड आ सकता है. तो इसमें आप 90% कंफर्म हो सकते हो कि हाँ भाई चलो ये एब्डोमेन में ही है, लेकिन 100% नहीं। तो फिर 100% करने के लिए क्या करना है? दो चीजें, एक है रेडियोलॉजिकल चीज और एक है केमिकल चीज। केमिकल चीज क्या है? हमारे जो गैस्ट्रिक एसिड, जो गैस्ट्रिक पीएच है वो क्या है? एसिडिक है या अल्कलाइन है? एसिडिक है, लगभग 4 का आसपास रहता है नॉर्मली बेसिल, और अगर आप खाना खाओ तो वो 1.5 के नीचे भी चला जाता है। तो आप पीएच मेट्री कर सकते हो, बहुत सारे स्ट्रिप्स मिलता है, बाहर का कंट्री में मिलता है, हमारा यहाँ पे भी सोफिस्टिकेटेड जगह में मिलता है, जो पीएच सेंसिटिव होता है। लिटमस पेपर में नहीं होगा, लिटमस पेपर बस आपका 7 से नीचे 7 से ऊपर ये दिखा सकता है, लेकिन 4 या 3 या 2 या 5 ये डिफरेंशिएट नहीं कर पाएगा। इसके लिए आपको पीएच, जो पीएच स्लिप है उससे ही, पीएच कार्ड से ही आपको मेजर करना है। जो फ्लूइड आपको आ रहा है वो देखो, उसका पीएच देखो, अगर पीएच लेस देन 4 है तो दिस इज गैस्ट्रिक, ठीक है। अच्छा, अगर वो 4 से ज्यादा है तो इट मे बी गैस्ट्रिक, मे नॉट बी गैस्ट्रिक। व्हाई इट मे बी गैस्ट्रिक? पेशेंट इज टेकिंग प्रोटॉन पंप इनहिबिटर फॉर लास्ट 3 मंथ्स, तो पीएच थोड़ी बढ़ेगा। लास्ट 8 आवर्स के अंदर वो प्रोटॉन पंप इनहिबिटर ले लिया या वोनोफ्राजन ले लिया तो उसका पीएच थोड़ी बढ़ेगा, नहीं बढ़ेगा, तो इसमें पीएच वो नेगेटिव दिखाएगा। तो दैट इज आल्सो नॉट कंफर्मेटरी, दैट इज नॉट आल्सो, यू कैन कंफर्म बाय 80%, sorry 95%, 96%, 97%, but not 100%. So by chemical test you cannot check 100%. अच्छा, उससे भी बात क्या कर सकते हो? You can check enzymes. अभी ये रिसर्च लेवल पे है, लेकिन आ गया मार्केट में कि अब थोड़ा एंजाइम देख लो, ट्रिप्सिन कैमेट्रिप्सिन देख लो या पेप्सिनोजन देख लो। ट्रिप्सिन कैमेट्रिप्सिन डिटेक्ट करना आसान है, ठीक है। तो अगर वो एंजाइम है तो ये डेफिनेटली, क्योंकि लंग में या कोई भी कंडीशन में या पीएच या पीपीआई खाने में तो ये घटेगा नहीं, तब ट्रिप्सिन कैमेट्रिप्सिन चेक कर लो। लेकिन उससे बहुत लेस कॉस्टली क्या होगा? एक एक्सरे करा लो। ये रिबन क्यों है? एक पतली से लाइन देखो, सारे देख, सब लोग देखो, पतली सी लाइन है सेम कलर का थ्रू आउट द लेंथ, दिस इज फॉर radio opacity, right? So that you can track the not markings, so that you can track the tube, track the path, right? इसका और एक डायग्नोस्टिक वैल्यू भी है, ये अब मेरा याद आ गया। किसी पेशेंट का अगर डायफ्रामेटिक हार्निया है, जिसका स्टोमक आ गया थोड़ा सी कैविटी में, उसका राइज ट्यूब अपने घुसाया, उसका बस उसका फोटो खींचा, मतलब एक्सरे लिया, एक्सरे प्रिंट में देख रहे हो कि वो अबव डायफ्राम इसका टिप है, तो दिस इंडिकेट्स डायफ्रामेटिक हार्निया। उसका नाम क्या है? सिंड्रोम का सिंड्रोम है, नाम क्या है? ऑप्शन में डायफ्रामेटिक हार्निया नहीं रहेगा, ऑप्शन में रहेगा बोच-डलेक हार्निया। अगर कॉन्जेनिटल डायफ्रामेटिक हार्निया है तो उसमें सारे जो कंटेंट है, लेफ्ट साइड का जो कंटेंट है ऊपर थोड़ा सी कैविटी में आ जाता है, तो दिस कंडीशन इज नोन एज बोच-डलेक हार्निया। So to diagnose Boswellia hernia, this is another important indication. अगर आप ये बताओगे तो एग्जामिनर खुश हो जाएगा कि अगर डायफ्रामेटिक हार्निया या जो हार्निया में आपका स्टोमक ऊपर साइड आ जाता है तो आप डायग्नोसिस कर सकते हो। सिंपल, बहुत सिंपल, राइज ट्यूब घुसा दो, उसके बाद एक एक्सरे प्रिंट फिल कर लो। लेकिन इन नॉर्मल कंडीशन में ये सबसे सेंसिटिव टेस्ट है। क्या सबसे सेंसिटिव? यू कैन से इन 100% सेंसिटिविटी कि हाँ अब ये टिप स्टोमक में ही है। आपने रेडियोग्राफ कर लिया, उसमें देखा है कि ये जो टिप है, ये जो बल्ब है, ये बल्ब तो दिख ही जाएगा क्योंकि ये पतली है, ये मोटा है। तो अगर ये टिप इज इन बिलो द डायफ्राम, देन इट इज कंफर्मेटरी दैट दिस इज इनसाइड स्टोमक with 99.1% सेंसिटिविटी एंड स्पेसिफिसिटी। वो 0.1% क्यों छोड़ा? बोच-डलेक हार्निया के लिए, राइट? Still it is in stomach, but the stomach is in ectophic area. तो ये हो गया आपका कंफर्मेशन ऑफ द थिंग। ये कहाँ कहाँ जा सकते हैं, कोई आइडिया? एक हो सकते हैं ओरल कैविटी में, लंग में जा सकता है, और इट कैन रीच अप टू ब्रेन। ऐसे हुआ है। अगर किसी पेशेंट का फ्रैक्चर है जिसमें कीब्रिफॉर्म प्लेट टूट गया है, उसको आपने एग्जामिन नहीं किया, हिस्ट्री भी नहीं लिया, ऑल्टर्ड पेशेंट पड़ा है, जाके रायल स्ट्रिप डाल दो। आपका सीनियर ने बताया, फर्स्ट ईयर पीजीटी, आप इंटर्न हो, आप जाके रायल स्ट्रिप डाल दिया, बहुत ऐसा हार्ड 18 या 20 गज का, जो बहुत ही हार्ड है, पॉलीयूरेथेन का फॉर्म हुआ है, सिलिकॉन नहीं, तो ये बहुत ही हार्ड है, तो ये ऑलरेडी फटा हुआ है, कि अगर फटा नहीं भी है कोई थोड़ा सा भी सॉफ्ट एल्डरली एज में वो फ्रेबल हो जाता है, तब वो घुसा दोगे तो चला जाएगा सेरिब्रल कैविटी में, स्काल में। बहुत सारे एक्सरे मिलेगा आपको जहाँ पे वो स्काल तक पहुंच चुका है, ठीक है। तो ये बहुत ही रेयर कॉम्प्लिकेशन है। तो ये सारे आपका हो गया प्रोसीजर। नाउ व्हाट आर द कॉम्प्लिकेशन ऑफ राइल स्टीव इंसर्शन। सारे चीज का है आपको ऐसे ही पढ़ना है, ठीक है। पोजीशन, इंडिकेशन, कंट्राइंडिकेशन, देन प्रोसीड्यूर, देन कंट्राइंडिकेशन, सॉरी कॉम्प्लिकेशन। नाउ व्हाट मे बी द कॉम्प्लिकेशन। एक हम ऑलरेडी बता चुका हूँ, क्या, जो केरोसिन में हो रहा है वो वाटर में भी हो सकते हैं। केरोसिन में 10 का होगा, वाटर में 3 का होगा, लेकिन होगा ना सही, तो इट इंक्रीजेस द चांस ऑफ एस्पिरेशन। सो एस्पिरेशन न्यूमोनिया इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट रिस्क फैक्टर। और क्या हो सकते हैं, इट कॉज इरिटेशन, तो पेशेंट ऐसे डेलीरियस हो जाएगा, पेशेंट छटपटाएगा, तो ये बहुत ही ये होता है, ये अक्सर ये खींच देता है, पेशेंट खुद खींच देता है, ठीक है। और क्या बताओ, परफोरेशन या परफोरेशन। इफ यू नो अननोन इंजेक्शन, बहुत सारे पेशेंट आते हैं बताता ही नहीं कि क्या पिया है उसने, पॉइजन जहर जो पीता है तो नहीं बताता है, तो आपको वो लगा होगा कि नहीं करोसिव भी नहीं होगा, ये भी नहीं होगा, क्योंकि वो जो बॉटल था वो था नहीं करोसिव का, वो केरोसिन ऑयल, सॉरी मस्टर्ड ऑयल का था, उसमें डाला हुआ था फिनाइल। उसने वो बोतल ला के आपको दिखाया धो के, तो आपने सोचा कि मस्टर्ड ऑयल पिया होगा, लेकिन उसने पिया है फिनाइल, तो इट इज करोसिव। आपको नहीं पता है, आपको अपने घुसा दिया, फिर करोशन इंजरी हो गया, परफोरेशन हो गया। तो परफोरेशन इज एन इम्पोर्टेंट कॉम्प्लिकेशंस। और क्या हो सकता है, अगर ये लंबा दिन तक रहे तो इट विल कॉज ट्रैक इरोशन, इसोफेजियल इरोशन कर सकता है, उसके वजह से अब सेकेंडरी इन्फेक्शन हो सकता है, राइट। तो ये सारे चीज मोटे, इसका ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेशन होगा ही नहीं, है ना, क्योंकि ये बहुत ही सिंपल सा इंस्ट्रूमेंट है। अच्छा, और एक चीज मैं बता रहा हूँ, अगर ये आपका ट्रैके में घुस गया तो सबसे पहला साइन आपको क्या मिलेगा, कफ। इफ द पेशेंट्स कफ रिफ्लेक्स हैज बीन प्रिजर्व्ड, इसलिए मैं बाद में बता रहा हूँ, क्योंकि ज्यादातर पेशेंट के कफ रिफ्लेक्स होता ही नहीं, जिसका राइट से घुसा रहा है वो तो कोमाटोस पड़ा है, राइट, तो उसका कफ रिफ्लेक्स है ही नहीं। लेकिन अगर कोई पेशेंट ऐसे जहर पी का है तो उसका बार ये अंदर जाए तो सबसे पहले कफ आएगा, एंड सेक ये तो सिम्टम्स, और साइन क्या आएगा, इसमें आपका मिस्ट दिख जाएगा अंदर सफेद सा। अगर ये मैं आपको फू दे रहा हूँ तो यहाँ पे आपको मिस्ट दिखेगा, यहाँ पे देखो ऑलरेडी मिस्ट जमा हो गया, तो जो ह्यूमिडिटी आता है यहाँ पे दिख जाता है। तो जब भी आपको ऐसे मिस्ट दिखे तो दिस इज अ रेड फ्लैग साइन, यू विल जस्ट रिट्राइव एंड देन इंट्रोड्यूस अगेन विद द सेम प्रोसीजर, ठीक है। तो कॉम्प्लिकेशन भी हो गया, और क्या बचा है बताओ। हाँ, अब कैसे रिमूव करना है इसको, जाके खींच दोगे इसे नहीं, यू हैव टू अगेन रीअश्योर द पेशेंट कि आपको मैं ये खींच रहा हूँ, क्योंकि जब देखो बात, जब तक पेशेंट एक्सेप्ट कर लेता है कि ये मेरे अंदर रहेगा उतना ही उसका कम गैग होगा, कम डिस्ट्रेस होगा। लाइक ये मेरा ग्लास है, जब मैं पहला पहनता तो मेरे को यहाँ पर दर्द होता है, अब में दर्द नहीं होता है, क्योंकि इट इज इन सिटू, मेरा जो बॉडी है, जरा जो मेरा जो नर्व से इरिटेशन का नर्व भी मान ले कि हाँ चलो ये रहेगा, लाइक दिस थिंग इज इफ केप्ट फॉर लॉन्ग टाइम, ये बॉडी एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं, लाइक, लेकिन उसके बाद आप जब निकालते हो तब इशू होता है, ठीक है। तो उसके लिए भी आपको पेशेंट को काउंसिल करना पड़ेगा कि आई एम रिमूविंग दिस, इट मे कॉज कफ, it may cause some irritations, it may cause throat pain, it may cause nose pain, it may cause nose bleeding and all these things, crusting हो जाता है, ठीक है। कॉमन नहीं होगा, सबसे ज्यादा तो आपको ये आएगा ट्रिवियल जो कॉम्प्लिकेशन है, मैंने बताया नहीं, नोज ब्लीडिंग होता है, पुल करने के लिए नहीं, इंट्रोड्यूस करने में भी, जब पुल करते हो ना तब ये सारे जो है आप जेंटली पुल करते हो, लेकिन जब रिमूव करते हो झटके से रिमूव करोगे ना तो यहाँ पे जो ये जो कट है ना ये खींच के ला जाता है नेजल म्यूकस से, इसलिए जब इंट्रोड्यूस करते हो उस टाइम उतनी इंजरी नहीं होता है, लेकिन जब पुल करते हो तब इंजरी हो जाता है। तो इसलिए आपको बहुत ही आसानी से वही सेम पोस्चर में रख के, इफ द पेशेंट इज कोऑपरेटिव, अनकॉन्शियस है तो कुछ बात ही नहीं, अगर कॉन्शियस है तो उसको बिठा के सेम पोजीशन में ला के धीरे 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 ऐसे निकालना, ठीक है। उसके बाद उसको आराम से फेंकना है। और कुछ छोटे मोटे कॉम्प्लिकेशन हो सकते हैं, वो बनाया गया कॉम्प्लिकेशन से कुछ होता नहीं है, टेप क्रैश होता है, हाँ फिर बोलता है कि यहाँ पे काट गया, यहाँ पे काट गया, ये तो कुछ हो ही सकता है ना अगर गलत तरीके से डालो तो यही मोटा मोटा आपका डिस्कशन। आज जाके कहीं से भी पढ़ो, कुछ कुछ गूगल सर्च भी कर सकते हो, वो जो प्लेट वगैरह मेरे पास तो अभी है नहीं जो इस काल में घुसा है, तो आपको मिल जाएगा ऑनलाइन में। और बाकी क्या कौन सा बुक पढ़ते हो आप लोग, विच बुक्स यू यूजुअली रीड फॉर प्रैक्टिकल एग्जामिनेशन, प्रैक्टिकल पर्पस? हाँ, অরূপ কুন্ডু, হ্যাঁ ভেরি গুড বুক। অরূপ কুন্ডু আছে সবার, সবার আছে? অল অফ ইউ আর বেঙ্গলি, সবাই বাংলা বোঝো তো? শিখে নেবে করে, ইন্টার্নশিপে একটু বাংলাটা দরকার হয়, ঠিক আছে? বিকজ ইউ হ্যাভ টু ইন্টারেক্ট with the person in their native language, right? It is true for every state. अगर आप जिप मत जाओ तो वहाँ पे तमिल भी बताना पड़ेगा, राइट? तो लाइक जो मैं बता रहा हूँ, अरूप कुंडू वेरी गुड बुक, बट कुछ कुछ मिस्टेक्स है, लाइक द पोजिशन ऑफ मेजोगेस्ट्रिक्टिव इंसर्शन में इसमें गलत है, इसलिए मैं यहाँ पे आपको अच्छे से बता दिया कि वो गलत है। इसके लिए मेरा एग्जाम का 1 नंबर गया। हाँ, मैं क्या रेकमेंड करता हूँ, मैं अरूप कुंडू रेकमेंड करता हूँ बिकॉज ये जो बुक है इसमें मिनिमम मिस्टेक्स अच्युत बलन में भी है, अच्युत बलन में भी अच्छा है, लेकिन वहाँ पे भी बहुत सारा मिस्टेक है इससे ज्यादा, तो इसलिए मैं प्रीफर करता हूँ। अगर आपको पिक्चर्स ज्यादा चाहिए तो वो अच्युत बलन में है, क्योंकि देखो जो हचिनसन या मैक्लियोड आप पढ़ते हो वो सारे गोरे कलर का है, उन लोगों का स्किन अलग है, हमारा स्किन अलग है, तो डेफिनेटली जो क्लिनिकल फाइंडिंग्स है, जो इक्टेडस है, जो बाकी से जो फाइंडिंग्स, जो स्किन रसेस वगैरह जो फाइंडिंग, वो अच्छा नहीं दिखता है। मैक्लियोड से अगर पढ़ोगे तो यू विल बी डिसीव्ड विद देयर पिक्चर्स। तो हमारा जो यहाँ साउथ एशियन जो कुछ पिक्चर्स ऐसा कुछ बुक है, वहाँ पे आइदर ब्लैक कलर का एशियन पिक्चर है या वाइट, बीच में किसी का पिक्चर है नहीं, तो इसीलिए हमारे इंडियन जो बुक्स है वो आप 25 का पढ़ सकते हो फॉर पिक्टोरियल पर्पस, बट फॉर द थिंग, द पैराग्राफ्स एंड ऑल, इट इज डेफिनेटली बेटर इन अरूप कुंडू, राइट?